Well, I trade it, Frank. I don't trade it as actively as I trade stocks because these are 24/7 assets. And, they just drive you crazy if you do that because the most active session is Asia. And that means you're up all night. And I don't like that. But on this one, I was talking to my buddy Alex Macioli over there at Trade the Chain. And he was saying, hey, there's a great bottom candle at about 18,800, something like that. So we both got in there, dug deep and bought some on that dip. I know Alex was already short going into that, so he was covering and then he went long. That gave me a little incentive to piggyback on him, and I did the same. And these are trades, Frank, but I don't mean trades as in I'm in there 10 seconds long, 10 seconds short. But I think if that candle does indeed hold, we'd trade back up over 20,000. And, if you can take 10% because a move from 18.8 to 20,800 would be about a 10% move. That's what I'm looking for, Frank. So that's why I did it. And as far as Ethereum, I think these are the two that survive. I'm out of a lot of the crypto equities like Mara and Riot, which I mistakenly bought some on Monday, Riot blockchain, but I bought calls. And the only ones I really own now are Voyager and HUD-8 as far as equities on the crypto side.
Brent, you have quite a bit of exposure as well. You own the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, which is GBTC, trades over the counter, as well as Coinbase and Ethereum. Where are you at with crypto? Looking at some of the numbers here, down year to date, Bitcoin down 58% year to date, Ethereum down 71% year to date.
So I think that investors need to understand you have, three analogs coming together in this nascent space at one time. You have the equivalent of the TMT bubble bursting. You have long-term capital management. And what more likely it seems now is some Bernie Madoff sprinkled in there. And so what you don't have is the Federal Reserve to come in and save that. And so I think that's what, Sam at FTX is trying to do, is to come in and be a backstop to try to stop some of the hemorrhaging. But I think there's been so much carnage. There's been a lot of trust lost. And so I think it's going to take quite a bit of time for all of this to settle. And I'm just unclear. I feel somewhat confident there's potentially some more shoes to drop just because this system was so levered up. And so I think that as an investor, I'm in the space. I have it sized right and it's long term. But I'm just incredibly disappointed with some of these bad actors and just how some of what's happening inside of crypto looks more akin to me like the worst of old school finance than the promise of decentralization and all that, blockchain and crypto hopefully can bring longer term. But it's definitely not a good time right now. And I think, once again, a lot of trust is going to have to be rebuilt. So I think, someone like John, who's like an expert in technicals and sees what's happening behind the scenes, trading it's probably a really good way to play it right now.
Brent, really quick, is there one crypto you see having the best upside for the second half of the year?
I think right now you want to see who survives. And so I think that ultimately, when this is all said and done with, and you have to, FTX and Binance are more in the private token market, but Coinbase, I think, survives. I think Bitcoin and Ethereum survive. And really, you have just like a flushing of everything and you start back over. But if you remember going back just to the tech bubble bursting, Amazon, which was just a bookseller back then, which was a small cap company, went from 6 to, I think, 131, back all the way down to 6. And so then it took quarter and quarter and evolution for so many of these companies from the tech bubble to reemerge. I think you're going to have a similar analog and narrative to what you have back then. So if you're going to play in the space, I'm in the biggest ones that I think will survive, but I don't think it's more about capital appreciation at this point. I think it's about pulling in and seeing which ones can maintain their balance sheets and stay alive.